I'm 87 years old. The other day my daughter called me from Seville. She lives there with her husband and the kids. Well, they're not really kids anymore, they're in their 20s, but to me, they'll always be my babies. She called, worried as usual. Dad, are you eating right? Did you take your pills? Have you been to the doctor? And then she finally said it. Dad, you can't keep living like this. I live here in Dos Hermanas, in the same neighbourhood I've been in my whole life. I've spent 62 years in this apartment. I moved here right after I married Lola. May she rest in peace. She's been gone for 5 years now. 5 years and 4 months, if I'm honest. For the first few months, I couldn't believe it. I'd wake up and, just for a second, I'd expect to smell her making coffee. But then, nothing, just silence. My daughter told me I needed to think about my options. Move in with them for a while. Hire someone to help me at home, or, she said this quietly, almost ashamed, look into nursing homes. Nursing homes. The word sounded strange coming from her. I told her I'd think about it. But after I hung up, I just sat there on the sofa, staring at the TV without really seeing it, wondering what I was going to do. In the end, I tried staying with them. They said I could come for a few weeks to see how it went. At first, it was nice. They fixed up the guest room for me, my daughter cooked for me, and the grandkids would come give me a kiss when they got home. After so much silence in my own house, it felt good to be around people. But little by little, I started to notice. They have their own lives, of course. They wake up early, rush out, come home late. The grandkids are always on their phones or with their friends, and there I was, stuck in the middle like a piece of furniture. It's not that they treated me badly, don't get me wrong, but I just didn't fit into their rhythm. I'd go to bed while they were still watching TV, wake up after they'd all left. I'd eat at 2:30 because that's when they did, even though I've always eaten at 3. It's the little things, I know, but those little things are what make you feel at home or not. One day, my son-in-law asked if I needed anything from the supermarket. He was polite, but he asked me like you'd ask someone who can't go alone. And I've always gone alone. Ever since Lola couldn't any more, I've been the one to go. That's when it hit me. They were taking care of me, and that's fine, but I didn't want just that. I didn't want to be someone who needed looking after. Not yet. I went back home after 3 weeks. My daughter was worried, but I told her I was fine, that I'd rather be in my own place. And it was true. When I opened the door and smelled that stale, old smell, I felt a huge sense of relief. This was mine. Here, no one asked if I'd had breakfast. Here, I could do whatever I wanted. But doing whatever I want at 87 isn't the same as at 50. I got tired more easily. Sometimes I'd forget things, where I put my keys, whether I'd turned off the gas, if I'd taken my pills. One afternoon, I slipped in the bathroom. It was nothing serious, just a stupid fall. But I lay there for a while, trying to get up, and I thought, if this happens at night, who's going to find me? My daughter insisted on getting me help. We tried hiring a woman, Patricia, a lovely lady from Ecuador, hard-working, polite, but I couldn't get used to having her there, touching my things, opening my cabinets, rearranging everything. It wasn't her, it was me. I felt like I was being watched in my own home. And then there was the money. With my pension, paying someone every day, even for just a few hours, was a stretch. When Patricia couldn't come, they'd send someone else, and it was always someone different. I didn't even know who to tell where things were anymore. That's when my daughter brought up the nursing home again. We went to see one nearby, modern, clean, with a garden. They showed me everything. The rooms, the dining hall, the activity room. Everyone was so nice. But all I saw were schedules. Breakfast at 9, lunch at 1:30, dinner at 8, activities from 10 to 11. Everything measured, everything controlled. And the people there, some didn't even look at you. Others were in wheelchairs, mouths open, drooling. I thought, I can still walk. I can still shower by myself. I can still read the newspaper. Do I really belong here? I went home that afternoon and sat on the sofa, the same sofa where Lola and I had sat together 1,000 times, and I just started crying. I cried because I didn't know what to do, because none of the options felt right, because it felt like the world didn't have a place for me anymore. A few days passed and I was still alone, going over it all in my head. One morning I went down to get bread, like always. In the building's entrance I ran into Laura, a neighbour from the second floor. She's in her early 30s with 2 little kids, and she's always in a hurry. That day she looked overwhelmed, one kid in the stroller, the other crying. I stopped and asked if she needed help. She looked at me surprised and said no, it was nothing, that she had to take the little one to the doctor, and the older one wasn't in school because he was sick too. She had to work from home and didn't know how she'd manage. I don't know why, but I said, I can help if you want. Leave the older one with me for a bit. I'll put on some cartoons for him and that's it. She hesitated at first, said it wasn't necessary, but I insisted, and she finally agreed. His name was Hugo, a little blonde boy, small with a runny nose. I took him up to my place, turned on the TV, gave him some cookies, and sat beside him. It was strange but nice. It had been years since I'd had a child in my home. When Laura came back, she was so grateful she almost cried. She said I'd saved her morning, and for the first time in a long time I felt useful. A few days later she asked me for another favour, and then another. I started picking Hugo up from school sometimes. Laura would bring me groceries if she noticed I was running low. Her husband helped me change a light bulb I couldn't reach. Little by little, without even realizing it, we started to function like some kind of odd family. I noticed there were other people in the neighbourhood who needed small things. A neighbour who couldn't take out the trash, a young woman who worked late and couldn't pick up her packages. I started paying more attention, offering to help, and people started helping me too. They'd bring me food, ask if I needed anything, invite me for coffee, and that's when I understood I didn't need someone to take care of me like a child. I didn't need someone to control my life. What I needed was to keep being me, to keep contributing, to keep being someone who matters, not someone to be tolerated. I talked to my daughter about this recently. At first, she didn't get it. She said I'd get tired, that it was too much for me, that what if I fell or got sick? And she's partly right, but I told her I'd rather get tired doing something that matters than waste away waiting for someone to take me to the doctor. I still live alone. I still have bad days, days when everything hurts and I don't even feel like getting out of bed. But I also have days when Hugo waits for me in the entrance with a drawing he made for me, or Laura brings me up a coffee and stays to chat for a while, or the neighbour from the 5th floor asks me to check on his mother when he's not there. I don't know what will happen in a year, or even in 6 months. Maybe one day I'll fall and won't be able to get up. Maybe there will come a time when I do need someone with me all day. And if that time comes, it comes. But not today. Today, I can still manage. I still have something to give. And as long as that's true, I want to keep being Manuel, the guy from the 4th floor, the one who picks up Hugo, the one who goes down to get bread every morning, even if it's a little harder than it was yesterday. Because getting old isn't about disappearing, it's about changing. And yes, there are things I can't do anymore, but there are others I can do better than ever, like listening, being patient, and knowing that what matters isn't how much you have, but who you share it with.